This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is Scarlett Rose, the Queen of Hearts, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., and we should be joined by Scooter Dust in a little bit. And it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Queen of Hearts, Scarlett Rose.
Hi, I'm Scarlett Rose, the Queen of Hearts. I am based out of California. So my events that I have coming up will be in LA and Ventura area. They'll be blasted on my social media on Instagram at the.queen_of_hearts with 2 S's, and on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter is SR Hearts, I believe. And Facebook, you just have to look it up. I don't have an app for that.
Alright, and you don't even have to go looking for it. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. You have merchandise?
I do. I personally just ship them out, so they have to contact me if they want merchandise. I have shirts, pictures, stickers, buttons, and little wristbands that I sell.
And the best
but I can ship.
Oh, continue.
Oh, I can ship them out around the world. They just have to contact me through my social media.
Okay. And the best way to get a hold of you would be Twitter? Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram or Facebook.
Okay. Alright. Let's get into it. You wrestled Christina on Errie. A very well-known and respected name on the independents. What was that experience like?
I think I wrestled her, around 3 times. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely not an easy match, I guess. It's definitely hard. She was very experienced. I love working with her. She's really nice, and it was really she helped me a lot with through the matches, because I wrestled her in the beginning of my career. So she was very kind. I really liked wrestling against her. It was a lot of fun. She just really pushed me out of my comfort zone for sure.
I mean, yeah, she did work for TNA at one point, so, she has been to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Speaking of the big leagues, you tag team with your trainer, Brian Kendrick. You wrestled, I believe, Jimmy Wang Yang and his daughter.
Yes.
What was that experience like, teaming with, obviously your trainer and, a well-respected name in the pro wrestling world?
I really liked it because, he is my trainer, so I got an opportunity to wrestle with him or beside him. So it was a lot of fun on that end, putting our ideas together and creating a match. So I really did enjoy that, and I wish I could wrestle with him more, or even wrestle against him,
Right.
He's really, really good. He's really good at like creating matches. So I love wrestling with him, and I love training with him as well. It's so much fun. Like going every week to training with Brian. Like he's such a good trainer and such a good wrestler. It's insane.
I mean, what was it like? Obviously he's your trainer, and
Yeah.
then tag teaming with him, and you're kind of peers at that point. No.
We're kind of I would say peers. Um, it's he's always like he's backstage for our home promotion shows all the time. So he's like not even just the match I was working with, but like even like other matches that he's not technically involved in. He's like back there like, oh, do you need any help? Like or you can like run ideas by him, and he's always like super perceptive, and like he will like be like, oh hey, like I might change this or that, like how have you thought about like doing this instead, or like he's like very good at like the not just the wrestling part, but like also like constructing a match part of it, which I really like.
Was teaming with him like a moment that you took in at the moment, or something that kind of set in afterwards?
um I knew I was tagging with him for a while. Like, I knew a couple months beforehand that I was going to wrestle with him, so, like, I was really excited. I was really excited to step in the ring with both of them, honestly. Like, Jimmy Wang Yang and his daughter, and, like, there was, a lot of years of experience there, and then, me and his daughter kind of, like, the same amount of experience. We're both very new into the business. So, I was really excited. I really do like I've watched the match back, with him and everything, and you're like, oh, like we go through like what we could have done better, and like that kind of stuff, or like if he could have done it again, hopefully he would have wanted to change this and stuff like that. So I really was excited to wrestle with him. I'm very excited that I had the opportunity, and I hope that there is more in the future that we can like tag together or even, wrestle against each other.
And hopefully he won't ask you to put on a chicken costume.
Yeah, chickadee.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Shout out to Candy Girl, friend of the show.
Yes. Yes.
And we are indeed joined by Scooter Dust.
Hello, Scarlett. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you as well.
Now, I came across something very interesting in doing my research for this.
Okay.
And some people might not know who this is, but if you're an Adam Sandler fan, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Tell us about the time you met Peter Dante.
Yes, he's super cool and nice. He's amazing person from what my experience was. Um, it was just kind of like a moment. Like, I just got booked on this show. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really have like a real flyer like when I got booked or anything. It was just like, hey, you're gonna go to this wrestling show that I'm help booking, and I was like, okay, I'll show up. And Peter Dante was there, and I got to meet him, and he like really loved wrestling, and he's super kind. He's like even like after the show, he was like I like tagged him in the photo. He accepted it. He like was, I think, a collaborator or something like that on it, and he like messaged me. He's like, oh, like you're so amazing. Keep me updated. Like whenever you're gonna go on a show, like I want to see like you wrestle again. Um, and he's like, I think he also like has a house out in Texas too, and I wrestle up there. So like, I'm like, oh, like I'm in Texas this time or whatever. So he's really nice. He's super cool. I really enjoyed the experience. He thought all of the wrestlers are amazing, and that it was, I can't do too many details about the show because it was like, I don't know how to go around it, but there was a substance there. So like, yeah, so I can't talk too much because I know you guys are on YouTube and stuff like that, so I don't want to like.
Oh, you could. We're uncensored. You could say whatever you want. We've heard worse.
Yeah, it was a marijuana show. So yeah, it was a marijuana show.
Okay.
I don't personally do weed, but everyone there was doing weed, and he was like, so the whole gimmick of the match was like so it was an iron lung match. So the ref, you couldn't win the match until the ref was done with the blunt. So that was the gimmick of the match. Yes, and Peter Dante was like, "Oh my god, that must have been so hard to win that match because you couldn't win unless the blunt was done." So.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that sounds like exactly like him.
Yeah. Yes.
It's funny because Adam Sandler is from my neck of the woods in out here in the New York, New Hampshire, or the Northeast. And Peter, I believe, is from your neck of the woods. And I know they both love wrestling to a huge degree. And I think you've already answered this, but I'm gonna say he's a lot like the characters he portrays in the movies that are, for lack of a better term, potheads.
Yes. He's literally like, I could not tell, like, actually, like, meeting him outside, like, meeting him versus just watching him, I'm like, okay, you're, like, you weren't really playing a character, that's just you. That's just you. So, yeah, he portrays the same character, or, like, he's the same person as he portrays in his movies.
All right. James, I'll throw it back to you.
I have a follow-up about the Iron Lung match. Was that maybe the longest match you've had so far? Was the referee like milking it, or was he like going for it?
He was not milking it, and yeah, so it was it was like 6 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
Wasn't too long. Kind of like an average match. Yeah, it was an average match.
Well,
It was good.
Speaking of your matches, you were the first ever women's match for One Ring Circus. In a world in pro wrestling where everything's been done, there's a lack of, first times. So what did it kind of mean to you to be the first women's match for One Ring Circus?
I was really honored. I was actually not, like, so I wasn't originally booked on that show. I just happened to be booked on the show because someone couldn't make it, and someone recommended me to wrestle, like, oh, this girl's really good, I've seen her a few times, like, you should book her. So I wasn't supposed to be the original one, but I still did an amazing job. It was such a great, like, honor. I loved wrestling there. The fans were amazing. They were excited because they've been wanting women matches. They wanted to see women wrestling, and like, all the little girls were super excited to see us wrestle. They were all waiting for our match. It was really great. People like loved our match, and we really put on a really good match. Like, people were trying to get ready for their matches and just were drawn to our match because they were like, okay, I can't focus. Like, I need to focus on the match that they're doing because I'm like, we just draw them in. It was really good. It was a really good match. I was very excited to be able to put on that match.
What did it kind of mean to you, to be highly recommended by somebody to be the replacement?
I really appreciated it. Like, I really appreciated, so it was Sean Black who recommended me. Shout out to him, Sean Black. He's amazing. He's always about, like, positivity and stuff like that, so he's always trying to put other wrestlers over and stuff like that, so that's just kind of how he is. But it was really great that he was like, oh, like, my first thought is Scarlett Rose. Like, I've just seen her wrestle a few times. It's really good, and, you know, he brought me to the match that I had last weekend. He was like, oh, like, we want to book her because she's really good. So he always tries to put me into matches and stuff like that. So it's amazing. I like getting recommended to be wrestled because it just shows that, like, those people believe in me, I guess. Like, they believe in what I'm trying to do and what my style is and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate it time over time.
Right. Scoodle.
Yes. Now, I want to get into something that what it looks like is more than a hobby for you, and it looks like you could have a very, very good career in this, and that's designing ring gear. How did you get into that?
I did not like the prices that people were like for wrestling gear and stuff. And I was starting off wrestling, wasn't sure if I was really gonna like wrestling, like, because my background is like martial arts, so like I kind of was jumped into professional wrestling, and someone just gave, like, my coach or my promoter, my home promotion, was like, oh, you're ready for a match and we're gonna throw you in to one. And I didn't know, if that was gonna be my thing, so I started by, like, making my own wrestling gear because it'd be, like, significantly cheaper than going out and hitting anyone else up for gear. And so I ended up designing my first few, my sets of wrestling gear, and I made it, and people really liked it, and people kind of like, oh, you need to start making wrestling gear, I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, I like sewing, but I don't know if I want to do it, like, for other people, because I'm like, what if it doesn't fit? And, like, it's a huge mess for me, I guess. Like, I do really like making wrestling gear, but it's just nerve-wracking sometimes, especially when you're working with, like, new people and you don't know, like, if they took their measurements right, or, like, how their body style is, like, because, like, oh, it might fit your waist, but it doesn't fit around your thighs when you're trying to get it up, so then you can't get it on.
Right.
So that's kind of like the mess with making wrestling gear. You have to, like, kind of try to guess and see if it's gonna fit someone or not based on, like, the measurements they gave you and stuff. So
especially if they're not in front of you.
Huh?
Especially if they're not in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, with me, it's like, if I make my own wrestling gear, like, I can, like, adjust it, like, right on the spot, Like, that's why I like making wrestling gear for me and, like, a few people that are in my area. Like, I've made wrestling gear for people in the Philippines, and that was, like, my most frustrating set of gear because it is so far away, and if something doesn't work, if something doesn't fit, it's gonna cost, like, the person so much money to send it here, and then I have to send it back, and it costs like $70 just in shipping to get it to the Philippines, and that was, like, on the cheap end. And so, like, this guy's already spending $70 on shipping plus whatever I priced out for the pans. Then what if it doesn't fit? And then he has to send it back, and then I have to send, it's a lot. It's a lot. Thankfully, it fit. It was a little tight, but I told him, like, hey, let's try stretching it out. You have a lot of stitches in there. It's brand new. Just kind of, like, massage the material, let it relax a little bit, and it should fit, and it did. It did perfectly fine. So I was like, oh, thank goodness. And he, like, sent me pictures. He's absolutely in love with it. I do love making wrestling gear. It's stressful because they don't know if it's going to fit them until they get it.
And it's such a niche market in terms of independent promotions, and Yeah, back when I was training, we had somebody on the roster who designed gear as well. So that I think you think you think you sell yourself a little short when talking about this great gear that you designed. And more than that, how someone who wears gear you designed and how it makes them feel, which leads me to this follow-up. There was a young woman you made gear for?
Yes.
A child?
Oh, okay.
Tell us a little bit about that story and what it meant to you and what it meant to her.
So I think you're talking about Illy. I think you're talking about Illy. That's in Texas. So I made the wrestling gear because her dad reached out to me about wrestling gear, and because she really loves wrestling and she like trains. It doesn't fit her anymore because she grew, but she would wear it to like practice, and she would wear it, like whenever she was doing practice in her backyard because they had a gym or like they had like a ring in their backyard and everything. And I really that set of gear has given me so many opportunities. It's not even funny, and I don't know. Like, it's just such a crazy story because this dad just reached out to me for this gear, whatever, and like it just grew into like a friendship that like I was never expecting to have. Like, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm making a gear for like I think a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old at the time. I was like, okay, like whatever, I was like, okay, I'll make it. I don't like. To me, it's like when I first got the order, I was just kind of like, this isn't gonna last very long. Like she's gonna grow. She's gonna grow out of it. I was like, you want it? I'll make it. Like, no problem. And I made it. She loved it. They ordered like another set, and she still loved it. She thought it was amazing, the best thing she could get. And her dad was like super nice and wanted to help me out more. And they're connected with like Dog Pound and like Jazz and Rodney and stuff, and that's like where she trains. And he like flew me out to go like wrestle for them and out in Texas a couple of times. And so like it grew so many like different connections and like meet so many people and like be able to like meet Jazz and Rodney and everything. It's like it's so crazy like how just something like just making gear for someone can, like making connections in like the wrestling world.
And this young woman has a ring in her backyard, so
Yep.
she's automatically the luckiest in the entire world.
Yes.
I just had to mention that. And James, throwing it back.
Yeah. Keeping on the subject of ring gear, first and foremost, love the ring gear from Misty Marks. Shout out to Misty, good friend of the show. And second, was, obviously sewing, was that a skill you had before pro wrestling, or was that something you learned for pro wrestling?
It was a skill that I picked up during COVID. So shortly before I started doing wrestling, because I started in October of 2020. So during 2020 is kind of when I like broke out my mom's sewing machine that she like never used and learned how to sew, and I ended up burning up the engine or the components in it because like I didn't know anything about sewing machines at the time. I was just kind of learning how to sew, and apparently you have to regularly clean them or like they have issues and you have to oil them and everything. So I like learned how everything to take care of them. And then at that time, everyone and their grandmother and mother were sewing, so I couldn't get a sewing machine because they were sold out everywhere. and my grandma like lent me one of her older ones that she wasn't using anymore. It was working for a while, but like it kind of had like a weird like glitch, like it wouldn't stitch every single stitch and everything. So then eventually my parents bought me like a really nice sewing machine that like is what I've been using ever since. I think I got that like in 2021, I think, if I believe, somewhere in 2021. And I've been using that for the last 2 years, and I've been really enjoying. That's kind of like how I got started into sewing, is just during COVID. It's just a skill I wanted to learn for a while, and I didn't really have time until like everything was shut down. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna sew now.
Alright, so a skill came in handy for pro wrestling.
Yes. Yes.
Now, being a gear maker yourself now, how did you decide on your own gear? Like the style of it?
Yes. So, I made a couple different sets of gears. I've kind of played around with the different patterns and kind of like figured out what I really like. And I kind of like the one piece because I was a wrestler like since I was like 7. Like I did like freestyle, folk style kind of wrestling and stuff like that. So I kind of always liked the singlet style, but I kind of wanted to be more like conservative, I guess, with my stuff. So I had to figure out kind of like how I wanted to construct it and stuff like that. And the first thing I did was like a there's not very many pictures of it because it got old real quick, but it was like a corset back, so it would be all laced up, and it was like this really pretty gold lace, and it kind of looked like the Wonder Woman lasso like kind of like material, so it was like gold like that, and it was braided, and it was really pretty, and I really liked how it looked. But having someone lace me up every single time, and it was kind of annoying in that end of it, so I was like, okay, we're gonna end the lace, like lacing up, and I tried to like construct one that like I could just pull up, but that wasn't working because my body's like too wide in areas and too skinny in others, and like I can't make it wide enough to go over my thighs and it still fit my waist. So then I had to settle for a zipper, and I tried to like figure out where to place a zipper because I wanted to put it like on the side so it wasn't on my front of my chest or the back because I didn't want to take back bumps or front bumps, but I couldn't figure out how to construct it to be on the side and still be able to physically get inside of it. So then I had to settle for the front zipper. So I was like, okay, I'll be taking way more back bumps than front bumps, so I'm gonna do a zipper on the front. So that's why I have the zipper in the front, and then I made like a 2-piece long suit for like really, and I don't wear that very often because I overheat in it. So, but I wear it when I do like outdoor shows, like in the cold, because sometimes I do like cold shows where it's like 50, 60 degrees outside and I don't want to freeze, so I wear that because it's warm. And then I have this one that I just I wear it every once in a while because again, I sometimes overheat. So it's like a full pantsuit. Like it's one piece and then I have like a skirt on top of it. I really love that gear. I think that's one of my favorite gears I've made. It just looks really good and it's really comfortable. And I kind of just wanted pants instead of shorts, so that's why I made that one, and I didn't really like the 2-piece that I made that much, so that's why I made it 1 piece, and I did the skirt on top to make it a little bit different.
So there's a lot of experimentation going on.
Yeah, no, I experiment all the time, like, especially, like, when I had more time on my hands than I do now, but, like, I have so many sets of gears just sitting, like, because I wore them, like, 7 times, and then I was like, I don't like how this feels, or something didn't feel right, so I had to make, like, another one. But I currently have, like, 5 sets of gears in rotation. I have, like, a black, a red, a gold. I have my full red suit, and then I have my 2-piece one that I wear every once in a while. So,
And just a side note, I love the fact that for people like myself and you, 60 to 50 degrees is considered cold weather.
Yes. Yes.
Please.
And Scooter sitting there and saying, that's a heat wave. In New
Right?
York.
I bet it is, but
Yeah,
I
that's a heat
doubt
wave.
that if you're wrestling outside, I don't think you'd be wrestling outside very much if it's like 20 degrees or, freezing.
I think there's been some wrestlers, but in the past that we've been through that has wrestled in that cold, but I would have to go back.
Yeah, I don't know. Those people are crazy. Those people are crazy for sure.
Alright, drawing it back to Scooter. Don't forget the Burger King.
Now, I'm not doing that bit, James. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you are quite the fan of Betty Boop.
Betty Boop? Yes. Yes. I'm trying to figure out how you know that.
Much?
I'm like, how did, yeah.
Oh, we do our research.
I am.
I'm trying to think, what connection do you have to Betty Boop in terms of a personal connection or intrinsic value? What does she mean to you?
I don't like, that's such a hard question to answer because it's something I was just drawn to when I was a little kid. Like my grandmother showed me a cartoon of her and stuff, and I just kind of got obsessed. I kind of liked her character and how she her hair was and everything, and I don't know, I just kind of got drawn to her when I was a kid, and I just kind of stayed, and I like watching her cartoons and everything, so
okay,
that's about it. That's nothing too crazy.
Now I'm going to ask you a trivia question. Do you know what movie the voice actress for Betty Boop was her last role?
No.
It's a cult classic movie. Betty Boop's longtime voice actress, Mae Questel. She was one of the grandparents, in fact, Great Aunt Bethany, in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the one who starts singing the Star Spangled Banner. They start singing Christmas carols. It's absolutely hilarious.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. James, throw it back.
Yeah. You wrestled J-Rod. Obviously a well-known name in the California independents. What was it like competing against her?
I thought she was gonna be taller, honestly. I stood next to her and I was like, "You're not 6 foot. There's no way you're 6 foot." She's like, "I'm not." I'm like, "Okay, I thought you were this giant, and you stand next to me, you don't look that tall." That was my first impression. I was looking at her and I'm like, "You're not that tall. You're kind of you're only a couple inches taller than me. You're not that tall." So that's kind of my kind of I don't know. I thought she was gonna be bigger. She looks a lot bigger in her pictures than she actually is, which was like kind of surprising, but we had, I think, what was a really good match. Smart fans would like it, like, personally. Like, if you like Brian Kendrick, you would like that match, because I kind of like try to incorporate that kind of like style into it. Yeah, it was kind of weird because they made me the bad guy, and we planned the match, we planned the whole entire match the one time as I'm I'm the good guy and she was the bad guy, and then like they switched it on us, like kind of towards like when we were gonna wrestle. Like, it was such a weird show, it was such a weird vibes, like it was such a mess, but we made it work, I think. And it was kind of weird, and it wasn't because of her, it was just like the promoter and everything. It was kind of like, oh, well, we thought you wanted to be like heel. I was like, yeah, when I'm wrestling, people who are like, I swear, like 8 inches shorter than me, and I'm not that tall. Not that tall. Like, these people are like 5 feet and under. Of course, I look like a giant compared to them. Like, yeah, that's why I want to be heel. Now you put me a baby face like this whole entire time against the hometown girl. You put me baby face, and then one time I finally wrestling someone bigger than me, and now you put me as heel. I was just like, okay, whatever. We made it work. I think it was a good match. Some people who are like very spot driven wrestlers was like, oh, it was rough in the beginning. I was like, oh, you just don't know how to wrestle. Okay. Yeah. That's how I felt about that match. Like, people were criticizing me and like, well, you just don't like chaining, I guess, because that's what the beginning of the match was chaining. And like, the ref really liked it. He was like, oh, the like beginning part of the match was badass and it was so amazing, and like, some people who got what I was doing liked it, and the people who didn't, I just don't think they like that style of wrestling. And it's like, whatever. Each their own preferences. It's okay.
I can understand that because we're in, California. So we are a very lucha driven, culture when it comes to pro wrestling. So, it's the high flying stuff, it's the chains, it's the spots. So, sometimes that kind of pro wrestling kind of gets lost on that crowd. You know what I mean?
It can be. It can be. It can be, depending, but it was just another wrestler. It was just another wrestler that gave me the complaint. Like, the fans loved it. I wrestled a lot of lucha shows, so I kind of run a little bit like of the same kind of stuff, and they eat it up, like, because I think even though that like a lot of these people are lucha fans, they also are like big into WWE and stuff like that, so they like get that kind of style. Like, that's especially like in my town, like, that I live in, is like predominantly like Mexican culture, and they love lucha, and so like I do mix that in, and I do a lot of lucha shows, so I do mix in some lucha in there, but I kind of keep the same storyline, and they still like understand it, and they still like kind of love it, the matches, because it's like it makes sense, and they see lucha, like, it has like a story to it, and it also has lucha in it, so they kind of like that part of it.
I do love the fact that your first impression of J-Rod was, I thought you'd be taller.
It was, and I told her that. I was like, I thought you were gonna be taller, like, because she's billed as this. She's billed as like this giant, and like she's 6 foot, and like, I'm like, you're only a couple inches taller than me. Like, yeah, because I wrestle against people who are like 6 foot, 6'2". So then I look, and I'm like, it doesn't. You don't seem that height, right? You don't seem that height. I don't know if you've met her in person, but
I've seen her in person. Yeah, she did not look 6 foot. That's for
yeah.
sure.
See, like I'm only like 5'6", and she's like probably 5'8", 5'9", and they bill her as like 6 foot. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, you made a lucha mask for Gabriel Buffy Iglesias. How did that come about?
So it was another person that got invited to like his birthday party that like kind of orchestrated it all. So as someone who is a big wrestling fan and is part of like wrestling, he's a comedian, whatever. He knows Fluffy, and like I think they've done interviews before and stuff like that, so they've had like contact with him, and I knew Fluffy really liked wrestling, and they knew that Fluffy really liked wrestling, so they kind of like hit me up for wrestling gear or wrestling masks because they know I make masks, and they know I make gear, and they've seen me like wrestle before, so they're like, "Oh, I know her. She'll be able to make it." So that's kind of how I got it, and it was really fun to make. I wish he would have like kind of did something about it, but it's okay, you know? Like, I wish I knew if he liked it or not. I don't know. It's still kind of in the mystery, but I knew, like, the party was crazy. It was big. There was a lot of people there. So he didn't I don't think he got around to, opening all the gifts because he was on tour, like, a couple days after,
Right.
So.
Well, if you want if you'd like a concrete answer to that, I can get on his tail because I actually do know him. He was actually one of my first followers ever.
Okay, yeah, like.
So I put that offer out there for you.
I would appreciate it. I would love it because I kind of just wanted to see if he actually liked it because I'd spent a lot of time. It looked really amazing. I wasn't sure if it was gonna fit him because I didn't have his, size of his face, but it was like an average adult size, mask. But even if he wasn't able to wear it, it's still like he could put it up, and like look at it because it looks really pretty and it looks really cool. Like I kind of like made it so like there's like mesh on there, so like looks like a microphone and everything.
It was definitely well done, and it's crazy because I went to Raw last week and he was actually in attendance.
Oh, nice! Yeah.
Alright, so we'll put a pin in that, and hopefully Scooter will track down Fluffy and get an opinion.
I would appreciate it, yeah.
Alright, Scooter.
We're moving on to the Colossal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hypothetically, let's say there is a big film studio who wants to produce a huge blockbuster biopic of Scarlett Rose's wrestling career. Of course, everybody knows that the most important thing when planning a movie is the soundtrack before anything else. So, what would be 3 to 5 songs that would feature on the soundtrack to the Scarlett Rose wrestling career movie?
Dang. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I think there would have to be some kind of Cher song on there because I love Cher. Like that, like
Okay.
I don't know which one. Which one would like?
No. You talking mid '80s share or late '90s reemerging share?
I think 80s to like start of 90s, like her kind of like more pop, I guess. Like when she's kind of got big. She was in the 70s too. When I listened to some of her stuff then, but that was when she was like with her husband, and her sound was a lot different.
Yes. So something along the lines of "If I Could Turn Back Time."
Yeah, we could do that one. Now I have to move. Okay. I would have to do my theme song, right? Seven Nation Army. That's like my walkout song. I would have to include that one into it.
Yeah.
Joan Jett. Why am I blanking on the name?
Bad Reputation?
I Love Rock and Roll.
No, it's the one that Ronda Rousey walks out to. I love that song, and I was so mad that Ronda Rousey walked out to it. Huh?
Bad Reputation.
That's Bad Reputation.
I was so mad because that's when I was doing fighting or stuff like that. That's one of the songs that I used when I walked out, and Ronda Rousey used it to walk out, and I was like, "Ooh, I could use that one. I would use that one, but I can't do it the same like as other people." And I was so mad when Matt, what is his name? He's like the football star or whatever. He walked out to the Seven Nation Army. I was so furious. Yes, I was so mad. Like, I was like yelling at the TV. I was like, no, you have to be kidding me. Like, I was so furious because I was like, I've been using that song for so long. Like, by the time he did that and he like walked out to it, I was like, no, now everyone's gonna like associate that song with him now.
Okay. I have an interesting question now regarding that. It's a popular song in wrestling crowds. With Keith Lee, they would chant, "I wanna bask in his glory," or Elias, "I wanna walk with Elias," or the acclaimed and Daddy Ass, "Oh, scissor me." I'm not gonna finish that. So I'm curious. Had you ever imagined the fans coming up with a lyric specifically for you?
I have not, but that'd be cool. I think that'd be cool.
Okay.
Oh, the
all right.
Queen of Hearts. Oh, the Queen of Hearts. I can dig that.
Oh, wow, James is on that.
And I rarely sing on this show.
When he sings tenor, 15 decibels low.
We got the 3 songs?
Yeah, I did. I got 3.
Okay.
And, definitely an eclectic, interesting 3 songs, to say the least.
I listen to a lot of songs, and I listen to a lot of older songs and like music. So yeah, I like kind of the older stuff. That's what my dad kind of listened to a lot, and it's kind of what I grew up on. And I like some modern music, just not really my jam.
Yeah, I completely get that, and I dig your 3 songs, to say the least.
Yeah.
Alright, Squiddo,
They are. Yes, part 2. Now that we've got the soundtrack settled, we can move on to something that, most studios might not consider so important these days, and that's this first round of casting. Who would portray Scarlett Rose in the Scarlett Rose wrestling career movie? And P.S. You cannot say yourself because you will be contractually obliged to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Okay, I guess I'll have to do Margot Robbie. I love her, like, absolutely. Like, I love how she plays very dynamic characters.
Yeah, she has been killing it with a lot of her most recent roles. Barbie, Babylon, and even going back to the Wolf of Wall Street and Focus. Great.
And Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yes. How could I forget that?
Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh god. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
You could leave it up to casting if you'd like.
Yeah, we can leave it up to casting, because I can't think of anything right now.
I don't know. Right. And you could absolutely 100% pre-order the tickets now. Now, when we do resorts, we do resorts. And I'm not completely sure if this is 100% accurate, but knowing myself, curiosity always kills the cat. What are you watching on Rooster Teeth?
On what?
Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth.
What's that?
Okay. It's they make cartoons, animes.
They used to be big on. Now they do their own thing.
I think I know what you're talking about. I used to watch it in high school, like a long time ago, and I just liked watching their animated stories. That's basically all I watched. Like the animated stories of comedy. I really like comedy, so that's what I think. I think that's what you're talking about.
Red vs. Blue, Ruby, Camp. Can't remember what the name of it. Camp something. Okay. Moving on. Scooter, you have a question about Scrubba Lubba Dub Dub?
Wubba lubba dub dub.
There you go.
Marty, I'm guessing.
Yes. How big of a fan are you of Rick and Morty?
I really love dark humor, so I love Rick and Morty, and I love watching the cartoon. Yes. I think I need to watch the newest season, but pretty much I've watched every season.
Have you heard this? It's called a Songify remix, using all previous dialogue, and it's an entire song about Mr. Poopy Butthole.
No, I haven't.
We may have to put that in the description of this. And there's also another one that takes all the dialogue of Mr. Meeseeks and turns it into a almost ballad of a creature, wanting to not exist.
Okay, yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
I haven't heard that either.
all right, okay. Yeah, I think that's good, James.
Yeah. We talked about the music a little bit. Again, not sure if this is 100% accurate. Weird Al fan?
I've listened to some stuff from things that I've like heard. I don't want to listen to him regularly, but like TikTok gets my interest, and I want to hear things because like TikTok is only like a little snap of whatever the song is, and I'm like, what in the world is that song? So then I have to listen to it.
What's your favorite?
So I wouldn't say fan.
Okay, fair enough. Alright, well, Weird Al, somewhat bizarre, and that takes us to the bizarre, Scarlett Rose's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
I'm trying to think. I have traveled a lot. Too many miles. I'm trying to think of. I don't think nothing has too. I'm trying to think. I don't think anything too weird has happened. I was traveling one time, and the car's AC stopped working. So and it was like 90 some degrees temperature, and the AC decided to stop working 1 hour into my 3.5 hour drive.
Oh no.
It was so freaking miserable. It was not even funny. It was just so miserable. I was sweating, and we're driving to a wrestling show. I'm literally just covered in sweat by the time I get there, and at that point I didn't even want to wrestle by the time I got there, because I was just so drained and sweaty and gross the whole entire time, and I'm supposed to be happy and excited to be there and have to meet fans. So I had to kind of get out of my weird funk and stop feeling gross and be Scarlett Rose. I had to be that. But I think probably the weirdest show I've ever done, though, I did a biker show, and it was a really fun show. I enjoyed it. But it just the whole night was crazy. It it was so weird. It was just nothing went right. They literally had an 8x8 tent for 20 guys to change, and it was just really, really sucky. And it was when someone ended up quitting on our wrestling group, they ended up quitting because they had decided to no-sell Brian Kendrick, and they felt what happens when you no-sell Brian Kendrick. And yeah, so he got a boot to the chest, and he quit the next week. And it was raining. It ended up raining, and it wasn't supposed to rain.
Oh no.
It was yeah, I wrestled in the rain. Do not recommend, but I did wrestle in the rain. The mat was slippery, the ropes were slippery, so I had to scratch part of what we were planning on doing because it was just too dangerous, to do. But yeah, I think that's my kind of craziest wrestling event or wrestling show. It was kind of just chaotic. There was no room for anyone to change. There was half the crew just outside, doing whatever they were gonna do, and
Continue.
Yeah.
I cut you off. I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, and it was just raining, and then no one was ready for the rain, and like it was outside, so like the DJ stuff got wet, and it was people were freaking out about like the people like running the show were kind of freaking out about it because their DJ equipment was getting wet and the rain was getting wet, and it was just kind of a huge mess. But I don't think I've had too much crazy things. I think I have more crazy things just in my like actual life happen to me than my wrestling. More in my real life than my wrestling life for some reason.
Hey, if you want to share one of those stories, we're open to listen. Do not be wrestling related.
Okay, well, this just happened. Okay, I could talk about this. I had someone literally follow me around the whole entire like Walmart that I was in. I ended up passing this guy walking, and he kind of like stood out to me because he had like a long curly mustache, and he was like dressed really well, like with a flat top and like a vest, and like was all brown, and he was like really well dressed for going to a Walmart at 10 at night. It was like the weirdest thing I had. And then as I was like crossing the corner, I saw him turn around and like start walking towards me and whatever, and whenever I would stop, he would stop and like look at like a random like end cap, and then I would walk more, and then he would like follow, and then when I would stop, he would stop and look at a random end cap, and I kind of like was seeing him out of the corner of my eye, so I kind of like hid like behind like a pillar that was in Walmart, and then the guy just like kind of like lurked around for a little bit and then disappeared, and I was like, okay, like I think he's fine or whatever, and like kind of went around like doing my things, and then I was looking for like a serger. And I was looking at the sergers, I kind of like was paying attention, so I was like, why is one $18 and why is two $16? I'm like, what's the difference? What's this, that? So I was kind of really focused, and I kind of see someone in the back corner of my eye like walk past me. I was like, oh, it's probably someone just, getting whatever. And I like get what I want. I look right next to me, and that guy is standing right freaking next to me. I'm like mortified. I like internally freak out. I like grab my stuff and I walk away. And then as soon as I grab my stuff and turn and walk, he starts walking behind me, and he doesn't pick up anything. He doesn't pick up a single thing. Nothing from the aisle that we were looking at. And then I was like looking at the coffee pots, and the guy like crossed past me, right? And he goes to the end cap of the coffee pots, and he moves like one of the coffee pots and looks at me through the aisle. And I was so creeped out, and I like freaked out, and I like run into electronics, and then he runs into electronics, but like on the next aisle over, and I'm like, I need to get the heck out of here, because he didn't pick up a coffee pot, he didn't pick up a serger, he didn't pick up anything. So then I like freaking beat it to like the back of the store. Like I started like going like around, and like I went to like the clearance section. I hung out for a couple minutes. I like walked like the back edge of the store to like go to the front of the store, and then I finally like checked out, and like I saw a person with a hat, and I like freaked out because I thought it was him. It was just a lady like with a hat that was brown as well. But I was just like, I just saw something like got like a brown hat in the corner of my eye, and it just like made me like freak out in the checkout line. So yeah,
two things come to my mind about that.
Yes.
Would be like that much younger. What?
Oh, you froze for a moment.
Something like that happened to me when I was... Okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Okay. Something like that happened to me when I was much younger, and it turned out to be the store detective. I mean, back when, stores actually had detectives. But I don't know if you've ever seen Dudley Do Right, but that description almost sounds exactly like the villain from that Snidely Whiplash. He's got the top hat, that nice long black jacket, that carny mustache that has one single like loop on the end. And if I didn't know any better, I'd swear they were gonna they might have tied you to a railroad track, like in this old.
The first thing that came to my mind was Mars the Specialist, who was in Walmart looking for a tag team partner.
Oh no, the first thing I thought of was like the TV show You. I don't know if you've watched that.
Oh, I love it. Oh, seen all 4 seasons.
Yeah, so have I. But that's like the first thing that I thought of, like, because that's how he was acting, like following behind, stopping, like hiding, you know, and like that's the first thing I was thought about. I was like, oh my god, think he's gonna try to use me. He's gonna like running out of the store. Oh, yeah.
Well, from a bizarre adventure to the most controversial of subjects. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I don't like warm pineapple, so I do not have pineapple on pizza.
So you are anti pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Okay. What's your spirit?
Don't know.
Oh, continue.
Oh, I don't know what your guys' consensus on it, but I've had like Hawaiian barbecue, or not Hawaiian barbecue, Brazilian barbecue, and they serve like hot pineapple, and I do not like that. So it's not just because it's on pizza. It's just I just don't like hot pineapple. Period. Just in general.
All right. What's your spirit Pokemon?
I do not have one because I never played with Pokemon.
Okay. We love the late great Tracy Smothers. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
No.
Scudo.
T is for terrible. H is for hell. U is for ugly. And G is for jail, because a thug can't spell.
Okay. Yeah.
We love the late great Tracy, trying to keep the memory alive on the show. Now, the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully, would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
I wouldn't. I think I've seen this on the internet in like Japan, or like I think I've seen it. I don't know how I would even go around that to do that, but like I think I've seen it before. I've seen some guy wrestle a tent on the internet. I've seen a lot of weird things on the internet involved with wrestling, but I don't think I would, because I don't think I'm that good of an actor to wrestle a rock. Yeah, I don't know about that.
But just for context, there is this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in what was called a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Interesting. How do you win against a rock? I don't know.
Well, he used paper, obviously.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, he did not win the match.
Oh, God.
Yes. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. I don't know. Like, hopefully I'll be wrestling in like a bigger promotion, if that's like WWE, AEW, or like anything else in between. I hope that like I would be able to get to a bigger promotion, or like Japan. Like, I would hope so. Like, that would be the dream, honestly. But yeah, I think that's the dream for me, be able to like make wrestling my career.
Alright, And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Scarlett Rose is all about?
I think my just most recent match, I think was one of my better matches I've had so far. It felt really good. Everything seemed pretty clean. It was against Danika Blodwyn. It was a really good match. I didn't win, boo, but had a lot of fight. It was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. I hope I get to wrestle her in the future, and because I win this time, I win the next time. So yeah.
Could we find that on YouTube?
Yes, it is on YouTube. It's not on mine. I think it's on hers. But if you guys would like, I can always send a link.
That would be appreciated, and I will put that link in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox, for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
No actual doom to be incurred.
This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yes.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. I'm like, wait. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. There we go. Stone Cold Steve Austin. There we go.
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler? Like big time or?
In general. Anyone.
Ooh, do I really have to do that one?
We could give you the default answer if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do the default answer, because there's a lot of opinions that I probably shouldn't say.
Scooter.
You have chosen Eva Marie.
Okay.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
The man.
Becky Lynch.
Yes.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
I would go to Ron Rousey's.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
What was it?
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe
is...
Is the keeping the character and the wrestling alive.
We also would have accepted is quite good on toast.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit.
I consider it a vegetable. I knew it was a fruit, but I consider it a vegetable. Like, I consider tomatoes vegetables even though I know they're fruits.
And that's why you are now a part of Squash Squad. And that means a hell of a lot more.
Ketchup is my fruit salad.
New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I think covering, most of the butt, at least to start off with. I don't know.
Like
90%.
Continue.
90% of the butt covered, I guess.
Alright, so 10% cheek, 90% coverage.
Yeah.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Scarlett, for coming on and doing this with us.
Awesome.
Once again, where can we find all things Scarlett Rose on social media and merchandise?
You can find my merchandise on my social media by contacting me. I have shirts, stickers, buttons, wristband, little plastic wristbands, and did I say photos? I think I did. There we go. And on Instagram is at @queen of _hearts with 2 S's and SR_hearts on Twitter and Facebook. I do not have that, so just have to find me through looking at Scarlett Rose, the Queen of Hearts.
And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Right. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us tomorrow as we interview hotshot Danny Duggan, and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Instagram, and Thread. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. And where can we find Scooter?
As always, find me on X at Scooter Dust. My stand-up comedy tour live from Camp Lejeune is in. There's been a couple more shows have been added. Free water with admission. As always, keep an eye out to the social medias for any upcoming news on the remix. I promise it is coming back. And revel in my Dungeons and Dragons antics, along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons clan. Twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
Alright, Scarlett, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest Scarlett Rose, Calico Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys, we appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.